Last winter, a patient of mine, Elena, 78, slipped while reaching for her mailbox. She wasn't hurt badly at first, but she couldn't get up. 40 minutes passed before anyone found her. By the time she reached the hospital, her body temperature had dropped below 95°. What shocked me most wasn't her fall. It was what she told me later. I didn't know what to do. I panicked. My own body stopped listening. I'm Dr. Howard Tucker, a neurologist and longevity physician who spent decades studying how aging bodies react under sudden stress. And today we're tackling one of the most urgent but least discussed crises facing older adults. What really happens in those first 5 minutes after a fall and how 5 simple steps can literally save your life. And I'm Dr. Shigeaki Hinahara speaking from Tokyo, where I've treated thousands of seniors well into their 90s and 100s. Fools are not accidents of weakness. They're tests of preparation. In Japan, research from the Tokyo Metropolitan Institute of Gerontology shows that immediate action within 60 seconds cuts post-fall complications by more than 40%. Yet, few people are ever taught what those actions are. That's exactly why we're here. Because every year, more than 1 in 4 adults over 65 experience a fall, and half of them never fully recover their independence. But the good news, most of the damage doesn't come from the fall itself. It comes from what happens or doesn't happen next. Yes, fear freezes the body, and that freeze delays help. Today, we'll walk you through 5 movements and mental resets that keep blood flow steady, protect vital organs, and help you summon strength even when you think you can't. No fancy equipment, no gym, just biology used wisely. So, if you live alone or care for someone who does, stay with us. By the end of this conversation, you'll know the simple body mechanics, breathing patterns, and positioning strategies that emergency responders wish every senior practiced before they ever needed them. We're not just talking about survival. We're talking about confidence, calm, and the power to help yourself when seconds matter most. Dr. Hinahara, let's start with something most people don't realize. When someone falls, it's not always the impact that does the most harm. It's the body's reaction after the fall. I've seen patients describe it like time slowing down, their mind awake, but their limbs refusing to move. Why does that freeze happen? Because the body in that moment believes it's protecting you. When you hit the ground, your nervous system triggers a primitive reflex, the same one animals use when they're injured. Heart rate slows, blood pressure drops, and the muscles go rigid. It's called tonic immobility. It's nature's version of a pause button. But in older adults, that pause can be dangerous. It can trap you in a position where blood flow to the brain or limbs becomes restricted. That explains why so many people say they felt dizzy or weak even after a short fall. So what's happening physiologically in those moments? The combination of shock, adrenaline, and sudden blood pressure changes confuses the brain's balance centers. The vestibular system, the inner ear's balance organ, sends signals that don't match what your eyes see. The brain hesitates trying to reconcile the chaos. In youth, that recalibration takes seconds. After 60, it can take minutes. And in those minutes, panic often sets in. That's the critical point right there. Panic. Because once fear takes over, breathing shortens, oxygen drops, and your muscles tighten even more. It's like the body turns into a locked door with no key. I've had patients say, "I knew what to do, but I couldn't move." Exactly. And that's why the first life-saving step isn't movement, it's breath. Slow, deliberate breathing is what restarts communication between your brain and muscles. A 2022 study in the Journal of Geriatric Emergency Medicine found that seniors who practiced diaphragmatic breathing after simulated falls regained muscle coordination up to 40% faster than those who didn't. The breath brings oxygen and control back online. That's the foundation for every step that follows. So before even thinking about getting up, focus on regaining control of your breathing and awareness. You're saying that's what resets the body's electrical system, so to speak. Yes. Think of it like rebooting a computer after it crashes. The muscles won't obey commands until the nervous system calms down. And calm doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from slowing down. Even 2 deep breaths through the nose and 1 long exhale through the mouth can begin restoring strength. That's such an empowering shift because many seniors believe they need immediate physical help, when often the first step to safety is something they can do themselves. So in the next part, we'll go deeper into that. How to assess your body after a fall without worsening an injury, and the clever self-check system emergency physicians use before attempting to move. So doctor, once someone's breathing has slowed and panic settles, what happens next? Most people's instinct is to push themselves up right away, but that's often when real damage occurs, isn't it? Yes, exactly. The first 2 minutes after a fall are not for moving, they're for listening. The body speaks quietly after trauma, and if you rush, you might miss the warning signs. In Japan, we call this the stillness check. It's a brief but vital pause that helps you determine if movement is safe. That's a fascinating phrase. Stillness check. Walk us through it. What should someone actually do in those 2 minutes? First, keep your head where it landed. Don't twist or turn suddenly. Close your eyes for just a moment and notice 3 things: your breathing, your pain, and your orientation. Meaning, do you know where you are and what just happened? If you can answer those clearly, your brain is functioning properly. That's step 1, confirming consciousness and awareness. And what if someone feels disoriented or dizzy during that check? That's your signal to stay down and stay calm. Dizziness often points to inner ear disruption or sudden blood pressure loss. A 2023 study from the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that seniors who remained lying still for at least 90 seconds after a fall had 30% fewer secondary injuries than those who tried to get up immediately. It gives circulation a chance to normalize before the muscles act again. That's remarkable, and it's counterintuitive because our instinct is to prove we're fine. But as you're saying, patience in those moments buys you safety. Exactly. After that short stillness, begin your micro-movement check. Start from the fingers and toes. Can you wiggle them without sharp pain or tingling? If so, move slowly up to the wrists, ankles, knees. Never roll or twist the torso until you've confirmed there's no stabbing or radiating pain. This slow scan activates proprioception, the body's awareness system, which reboots coordination. So, you're reawakening communication between the brain and the limbs, piece by piece. That's not just physical recovery, it's neurological retraining in real time. Yes, and it's supported by science. Research from the University of Kyoto showed that gentle limb activation after a fall helps regulate blood pressure and prevents fainting, especially in seniors with autonomic instability. It's like restarting the body's internal compass. And I imagine this step also reduces fear because you're proving part by part that your body still works. Each small motion builds confidence. Exactly, and that confidence is medicine. Once you've confirmed that there's no severe pain, dizziness, or confusion, then and only then can you start planning to reposition or crawl toward a stable surface. That movement itself must be deliberate, never rushed. We'll cover that sequence next. The precise way to roll, brace, and rise without straining the spine or cutting off circulation. Perfect. Because I think many seniors watching right now have wondered, if I fall and no one's there, how do I actually get up safely? That's what we'll reveal next. A method used in hospitals and physical therapy clinics around the world that helps older adults rise after a fall without injury or panic. So, doctor, let's say someone's done the stillness check, taken their deep breaths, and confirmed there's no sharp pain or dizziness. They're stable, but still on the floor. This is where most people get scared. They know they need to get up, but they don't know how without hurting themselves. What's the safest way to begin? You're right, Howard. That fear of the next move often does more harm than the fall itself. The body tenses up and the person tries to rise too quickly, twisting the spine or overloading a weak joint. The correct method is calm, controlled, and supported by decades of physical therapy research. We call it the roll and rise method. That sounds like something every senior should memorize. Walk us through it. First, Bend one knee slowly and roll onto your side, the side that feels least painful. Use your arm to support your head as you do this. Once you're on your side, pause. Take another breath and make sure the room isn't spinning. This simple pause stabilizes blood flow before you continue. I like that you're emphasizing the pauses. It's not a race, it's a rhythm. Exactly. Next, bring your upper body forward so you're resting on your elbow and forearm. Then push gently until both hands are flat on the ground. From there, move one leg forward so you're on all fours, hands and knees. This position is powerful because it evenly distributes body weight and minimizes strain on the spine. It's the same technique rehabilitation specialists use for full recovery training. That's interesting because it sounds almost primal, like how children learn to crawl before they walk. And that's no coincidence. It's one of the body's safest, most stable patterns. Once you're on all fours, crawl slowly toward a sturdy piece of furniture. A chair, bed, or couch works best. Place your hands on the seat or edge and bring your strongest leg forward, foot flat on the ground. Keep breathing steadily. Then, using both your arms and your front leg, push up gently until you're in a half-kneeling position, so you're never jerking upward or twisting. You're transferring weight gradually from floor to support. Exactly. And here's something many people don't realize. Your vision plays a role. Keep your eyes focused on the horizon, not the floor. It stabilizes the vestibular system and helps your brain coordinate balance. Once upright, stay holding the support for a few seconds before taking any steps. This gives your blood pressure time to normalize. It's such a simple but intelligent system. Breathe, roll, crawl, rise. I remember a study from the National Institute on Aging that showed seniors trained in this exact sequence had 45% fewer post-fall injuries compared to those who tried to pull themselves straight up. That's correct. And it's not about strength. It's about sequence. Your body knows how to get up safely when you give it time and direction. Even frail individuals can rise independently with this method if they stay calm and focused. So this isn't just a recovery plan, it's a confidence plan, because once someone knows these steps, fear loses its power. And that brings us to what happens after you're standing again. How to prevent delayed symptoms like dizziness, fainting, or muscle spasms from catching you off guard. Yes, because getting up isn't the finish line, it's the halfway point. In the next section, we'll go over the post-full recovery window. What to do in the first 15 minutes after you stand to keep your body stable, hydrated, and safe from secondary shock. Doctor, this next phase might be the most underestimated part of recovery. Many people believe that once they're back on their feet, the danger is past. But you and I both know sometimes the real risk begins after they stand up. That's right, Howard. When the body goes from the floor to standing, blood suddenly shifts downward again. For an older adult, that can trigger what's called orthostatic hypertension, a sharp drop in blood pressure that leads to dizziness, nausea, or even a second fall. And because adrenaline is still high from the shock, many don't feel the warning signs until it's too late. So what's the right protocol in those crucial 10 to 15 minutes after standing? We begin with what I call the pause and pulse check. Once you've reached a stable surface and are upright, stay seated or holding support for 1 full minute. Use that minute to take 3 deep breaths and lightly touch your pulse either at the wrist or neck. You're not counting, just feeling. If your heartbeat feels erratic, fast, or faint, remain seated and keep breathing until it steadies. That's your body recalibrating blood flow. And if someone feels lightheaded or unsteady, should they sit back down? Yes. Immediately go back to the supported kneeling or seated position and start breathing again. Never fight dizziness by forcing yourself to stay upright. According to a 2022 Harvard Medical Review on senior balance, sitting or lying back down within 20 seconds of feeling dizzy reduces fainting risk by 70%. It gives your cardiovascular system time to restore equilibrium. That's powerful advice. It reminds me of something I tell my patients. Stability first, pride second. It's not about proving you're fine. It's about ensuring you stay fine. Exactly. And the next step is snorts hydration. A fall, especially one that lasts several minutes on the ground, often leads to mild dehydration because stress hormones pull water into the muscles and away from circulation. Drink a small glass of water, just a few sips at a time. That alone can restore your blood pressure and reduce the chance of delayed weakness. I imagine warmth plays a role too, especially if someone's been on a cold floor. Absolutely. Cold constricts blood vessels, making it harder for muscles to recover. A warm blanket or even a light shawl helps reopen circulation and calm the nervous system. If a family member or neighbor arrives to help, the priority isn't to fuss or lift. It's to keep the person warm, hydrated, and talking. Speech keeps the brain active and prevents the slow drift into confusion that sometimes follows shock. That's such a critical point. We tend to focus only on the physical recovery, but mental orientation is just as vital. Talking aloud, describing what happened, even repeating where you are and what time it is. These things help ground the brain and prevent disorientation. Exactly. And once you've done all that, breathing, pulse check, hydration, warmth, orientation, then and only then do you decide whether medical attention is needed. If there's bruising, headache, or any vision change, call for help immediately. Even if you feel fine, it's wise to inform your doctor within 24 hours. Minor internal injuries can take time to reveal themselves. So, the recovery window isn't about rushing. It's about rebalancing. You're helping the body reestablish its rhythm after trauma. Yes. And that rhythm is the difference between fear and freedom. Because once you understand this sequence, the fear of falling no longer controls you. You control it. And that sets us up perfectly for our final section, where we'll discuss how to prevent future falls altogether by retraining balance, confidence, and strength without leaving your home. So, doctor, let's talk about what happens after the recovery window. The bruises fade, the shock wears off, but the fear remains. Many seniors tell me, "Doctor, I just don't trust my legs anymore." That fear of falling again keeps them from moving. And ironically, that immobility makes the next fall more likely. Yes, that is one of the cruel cycles of aging. The fear that protects you becomes the very thing that weakens you. I've seen it hundreds of times. A patient recovers physically but mentally. They live in quiet tension, always bracing for another slip. And the nervous system remembers fear. When it anticipates danger, it tightens muscles, narrows breathing, and actually distorts balance. So the body starts reacting to fear instead of gravity. And that overcorrection, those stiff, shallow steps, make balance even harder to maintain. Exactly. That's why rebuilding confidence is as critical as rebuilding muscle. It begins with what I call micro movements of safety. Small, deliberate actions that remind your body that motion can be safe again. For example, before standing, place your hand on a stable surface and shift your weight from heel to toe 5 times. It's a signal to the brain, we are moving and we are safe. That's such a powerful reframing, because it takes something mechanical, standing, and turns it into communication between mind and body. Yes. And science supports it. A 2023 study from the Tokyo Institute of Gerontology found that seniors who practice controlled micro-white shifts twice a day improved balance and reduced fall anxiety scores by over 50% within 4 weeks. Confidence, you see, is not a feeling. It's a skill retrained through repetition. I love that idea. Confidence is a skill, because we often think courage comes before action. But in truth, action creates courage. So what are the most effective exercises to retrain the body after a fall? We begin with 3. The first is the wall glide. Stand with your back against a wall, feet about 6 and forward, slide down an inch. Hold for 3 seconds, then rise slowly. This reawakens the thigh and hip stabilizers, muscles that protect your knees during balance shifts. The second is the chair reach. Sit tall in a sturdy chair and reach one arm forward, then the other. It seems simple, but this activates the deep spinal muscles that keep your posture upright during real-world movements like reaching for shelves or turning to look behind you. And the third is the ankle roll. While seated, rotate your ankles gently 5 times in each direction. It improves circulation, mobility, and proprioception, the body's internal map of where you are in space. Most falls begin when that map blurs. It's remarkable how these movements are both gentle and scientific. They don't exhaust the body, they educate it. Yes, and beyond the physical, I ask my patients to use mental anchoring. Before standing or walking, they silently repeat, "My body is stable, my breath is calm." This shifts focus from fear to control. It's simple neurology. Thought changes tension. When the brain believes you are stable, it adjusts your posture automatically. That's something every listener can try immediately. And I imagine consistency matters more than duration. Exactly. 5 minutes twice a day done consistently rewires both balance and confidence. In one of my clinics, seniors who followed this micro routine for a month not only improved balance tests, but 83% reported sleeping better. When you're no longer afraid to move, your entire nervous system relaxes, even at night. That's beautiful, doctor, because regaining strength after a fall isn't just about muscles. It's about freedom. Freedom to walk without fear, to shower, to garden, to live normally again. Yes, Howard. And I often tell my patients this. You are not fragile. You are adaptable. Aging doesn't erase resilience. It only asks that you practice it intentionally. Each small movement, each time you breathe before you rise, is a declaration that your body still belongs to you. Doctor, I think what today's episode revealed most clearly is this. Aging doesn't take away our ability to rise. It just asks that we rise differently. And that's a powerful realization for anyone over 60. Because once you understand the rhythm of recovery, breathing, assessing, moving, balancing, you stop fearing the floor. It becomes just another surface you can return from. That's true, Howard. And I would add this. Falling is not failure. It's information. It's your body saying, something needs your attention. When we listen to that message with patience instead of panic, we heal smarter, faster, and stronger. I've treated patients in their 90s who regained full independence after a serious fall because they learned how to trust their body again. Trust, you see, is the foundation of longevity. I couldn't agree more. And it's why we made this episode. Not to scare people, but to show them that safety isn't luck. It's knowledge, the breath that steadies you, the pause that protects you, the method that lifts you back up. These are not emergency skills. They're life skills. Exactly. And the beauty of it is that they're already within reach. Every listener today has the ability to practice calm, to move intentionally, to prepare their home and mind for resilience. That preparation isn't morbid. It's empowering. In Japan, we call this Anzen no Kokuro, the mind of safety. It means living with readiness, not fear. You practice it a little each day so that when life surprises you, you respond, not react. That's wisdom at its finest, doctor. And for those listening, if you've ever felt that creeping anxiety about falling, let this be your turning point. Start with one breath before you stand, one mindful shift of weight before you walk. Every small moment of awareness is training, and that training could one day save your life or the life of someone you love. Yes. And remember, recovery doesn't end when you stand. It begins when you decide you're not broken. The body heals what the mind believes is possible. That's beautifully said. And in our next episode, we're exploring exactly that, the quiet link between mindset and mobility. How your thoughts can literally reprogram your balance system and rebuild coordination at any age. So stay curious, stay prepared, and above all, stay confident, because the power to rise again has always been yours.